You are thinking about buying a 7-Eleven. And honestly, it looks like the safest bet in America. 13,000 stores, open 24/7. Everyone needs coffee, snacks, and gas. But you do not actually own anything. Not the building, not the land, not even the Slurpee machine. A 7-Eleven is not a retail business. It is a profit-sharing agreement that happens to sell chips. When you say you want a 7-Eleven, you are choosing between 4 different businesses. First, the traditional store. They find the real estate, they build it, they hand you the keys. Second, a business conversion. You already own a store, you convert it to 7-Eleven. Third, a takeover. You take over an existing 7-Eleven from someone retiring. The fee for a takeover is based on how much gross profit that store made in the last 12 months. Fourth, gas or no gas. A gas store does $1.5 to $2.2 million in merchandise plus fuel. A non-gas store does $1.1 to $1.8 million. Everyone thinks the big cost is equipment. It is not. The franchise fee ranges from $0 for distressed stores they are giving away right now, up to $1.1 million for a top store in California. You also need $50,000 to $250,000 in liquid assets, and a net worth of $100,000 to $250,000. Then you pay a down payment on inventory and licenses of about $29,000 to $30,000, plus a cash register fund of $10,000 to $20,000. Plus 3 months of operating cash. So total to get in is $37,000 to $1.15 million. Most people land between $150,000 to $300,000. Here is trap number 1, location. You do not choose it and you do not own the lease. 7-Eleven leases from the landlord, then subleases to you. If they do not renew, you lose your business with 0 equity. Trap number 2, product control. 85% of your inventory at cost must come from approved vendors. If you go below that, you lose 2 points on your split. So you go from 50-50 to 48-52, just like that. You also must carry every proprietary product they tell you to carry. Trap number 3, the contract. Under your agreement, they can terminate you immediately with no chance to fix it if you underreport sales. That happened in Pennsylvania. A franchisee was permanently evicted because register readings did not match. You also must maintain a minimum net worth. If your payables to 7-Eleven go too high, they can stop your weekly draw. A normal franchise like Subway charges you 8% of sales. 7-Eleven charges you 50 to 57% of your gross profit. They call it the 7-Eleven charge. In Japan, they take 56 to 76%. In Australia, it was 57%. That one charge is your rent, your royalty, and your equipment lease all in one. So 7-Eleven does not get rich when you sell more. They get rich when your margin is higher. You are not in the business of selling products. You are in the business of managing gross profit for a landlord who takes half. Your day is not flat. It has cycles. 6 to 9 in the morning is coffee and breakfast. That is your best margin. 70 to 80% on coffee. 11 to 2 in the afternoon is lunch. 3 to 7 in the evening is the commute home, snacks and drinks. 10 at night to 2 in the morning is late night. High margin on hot food, but also high theft. By year, July and August are up 15 to 20% on Slurpees and beer. January crashes. Sales drop 10 to 15% after New Year. Lottery peaks in December. Now you have a structural choice, 7-Eleven or independent. An independent store charges you 4 to 6% royalty, plus 1 to 3% for advertising. You keep 100% of the profit after that. 7-Eleven charges 50 to 57% plus 1.5% for advertising. But they give you the store, the system, and a guarantee. They guarantee you a minimum gross income of about $36,000 to $45,000 a year. If you fall below, they lower their charge. Independents can make more, but they also die faster. Why does someone pay $2.99 for water they could buy for 99 cents at Walmart? Because you are not selling water. You are selling time and proximity. The average customer lives within 1 mile and is in your store for under 3 minutes. They are not price shopping. They are impulse buying. That is why they force proprietary products on you. A Slurpee or Big Bite costs you 30 to 40 cents and sells for $2.59. Margin on those is 55 to 65%. Margin on Coke is 33 to 35%. That is where the split gets profitable for both of you. Now the hidden cost they do not put on page 1. Labor. Head office modeled labor at 7% of costs. Real cost was closer to 13%. That gap is why stores could not profit without underpaying. In the United States, payroll will be $120,000 to $180,000 if you run lean. $200,000 to $250,000 if you staff properly for 24/7. Then credit card fees, 2 to 3% of sales. Then shrinkage and theft, 2 to 3% of sales. Then inventory variation and cash variation. You pay for that. Utilities, insurance, workers' comp, permits. another $20,000 to $25,000, plus that 1.5% advertising charge you forgot. Look at what happened in Australia, 620 stores. In 2015, an investigation found systemic wage theft, students working double hours for half pay, then being forced to pay cash back. 7-Eleven Australia had to back pay $173.6 million to over 4,000 workers. Then in 2022, they settled a class action for $98 million. Franchisees said the model itself was a lemon, designed to fail without wage theft. The report found 7-Eleven took 57% of profit plus total control over pricing. But the franchisee was the legal employer with all the liability. In the United States, franchisees sued, saying the company made life miserable to push them out. Courts ruled you are an independent contractor. You have control, but you also have all the risk. Let me show you the math out loud. This is a typical non-gas store. You do $1.5 million in sales a year. Your margin is 33 to 35%. So gross profit is $495,000 to $525,000. 7-Eleven takes 50 to 52% of that. That is $255,000 to $273,000 gone. You are left with $240,000 to $260,000. Add other income, lottery, ATM fees, money orders. That is $15,000 to $30,000 a year. So total to you is $255,000 to $290,000. Now subtract. Payroll, $130,000 to $160,000. Payroll taxes, $10,000 to $15,000. Credit card fees, $30,000 to $45,000. Shrinkage, $20,000 to $30,000. Utilities and insurance, $20,000 to $25,000. You are left with $45,000 to $75,000 a year. And that is before you pay yourself for working 60 to 70 hours a week. That is why the average owner salary you see online is $72,000. How do top operators survive? They do not survive on chips. Lottery is 5 to 6% commission, but it brings foot traffic. ATM is $2 to $3 per transaction, 50 to 100 transactions a day. That is $36,000 to $50,000 a year in fees you split. Proprietary food is where you make it up. And some owners run 2 to 3 stores. The second store fee is lower and you can share labor. Best case scenario, you get a high volume corner with gas. Sales, $2.2 million. Gross profit at 35% is $770,000. 7-Eleven takes 50%, $385,000 left. Other income, $90,000 from lottery, ATM, and delivery apps. Gross to you is $475,000. You run it with family. Payroll only $120,000. Other costs $70,000. Net is $120,000 to $140,000 for a great year. That is possible. Same store, realistic year. A cooler dies, $15,000. An employee steals. Inventory variation $8,000 charged to your net worth. Minimum wage goes up $1. That is $12,000 extra a year. January and February sales drop 10%. Your gross profit drops to $680,000. 7-Eleven still takes 50%. Now your gross is $340,000 plus $70,000 other income. Minus payroll $150,000. Cards $40,000. Shrink $30,000. Repair $15,000. You are left with $45,000 to $60,000, working nights, weekends, and holidays for 10 years with no equity in the building. So should you buy one? If you want a store, do not buy a 7-Eleven. If you want a demanding 24/7 management job that pays $50,000 to $75,000 a year with a brand that guarantees customers walk in the door, and you are okay that your landlord is also your supplier and your franchisor who takes 50 to 57% of every dollar of margin you create, then it is not a bad idea. A 7-Eleven is not a retail business. It is a profit-sharing agreement that happens to sell Slurpees.